a video of me faffing around with something. So, I buy these cheap gravy granules, not to actually make the gravy, but just as an easier way of thickening up gravies and sauces and things. So, the only problem is they don't particularly. There's bits in them, and not like bits as in chunks or something. It doesn't all kind of want to melt properly, and I think it's because it's not meaty. It's like it's fully vegan. Is this? And I think it needs some animal fat in it to help it properly melt. But anyway, so it's a bit of a problem, and I end up having to stick the hand blender in the gravies, and I'd rather not have to do that. I'd rather just be able to stir the gravy granules in, but I don't really want to buy more expensive gravy granules because I think the supermarket's own brand ones would do exactly the same thing. So we're going to have a faff around with some beef stock cubes and some roux, which is equal quantities of flour and fat, which I've already made up and I've already cooked out. So that's an instantaneous way of thickening gravy. So these are about 40p each. Let's see. Let me pause first and get my glasses. I already had my glasses with me. I could do with one of those chains that goes around my neck. So 20 grams of gravy will do 280 millilitres. So there's half a litre of water in there. Let's see how we do with this, and I'll be able to show you that it probably won't now, but anyway, so let's gravy granules in, give it a good boil. Maybe I'm not reading the instructions properly. Gravy granules into a measuring jug, then pour boiling water onto dry granules, stirring all the time. The more gravy granules you add for a thicker sauce desired. Okay. Maybe it just does it when I've got other things in the sauces. No, there you go. Don't know if you can see. You just beat there's just some those flecks there. So that's thick enough for that. Doesn't taste particularly interesting, but I just use it as a thickening agent. You know, more than anything else. It's just an easy, because you just pour it in and whisk and it thickens up, rather than have to faff around with roux and things like that. You know. So, but it's just not melting as I would have liked. You know, it's got bits in it. I don't know if the bits are there to kind of fool you into thinking that it's meaty gravy. But anyway. Anyway, so that's that. So we can roughly work out. Should have weighed that before. No, we'll be able to work out the price, won't we? That's fine. So then we've got some water on the back, which we're going to spill everywhere. And then we've worked out the cost of the beef stock cubes, which are basically just fat and salt, really, with a little bit of beef flavouring. And then we should weigh this first, and I'll be able to tell how much roux. This is just, is it really worth me? So there's 565 grams in there. No, I can see I've turned the wrong gas off. Ever prepared? I was watching something and they were talking about you can prepare forever, or you can just get on with it and make mistakes, which is a much better way of doing things. They said on this podcast I was listening to. So, is it 565? Yeah, 565. So, how much roux will thicken this water? To start off with, I'll back on there so we know. and then we'll just drop some, when we get to the right consistency, we'll just drop a couple of stock cubes in, and then we'll be able to do a calculation and kind of see if it's worth making roux and putting these stock cubes in, or I'm just going to stick my hand blender in for the gravy in future. Get it to the same ish. Viscosity. Put about 55 grams in of roux. Right. Give that a taste. It should just taste of, actually it's a little bit, yeah, flour and water. So then, these are 5.5 pence each. So let's put, OXO is my choice stock cube, if I'm honest, but we are always on a budget, always. Generally down to the prices people are prepared to pay, and you know, I think cost of living and all that kind of stuff. It's important to show that you can do good things with cheaper ingredients. You know, I was taught, far too many stock cubes. I was taught how to turn cheap ingredients into delicious food. Whereas the trend these days is to buy better quality ingredients and let the flavours kind of shine through. It's not particularly a good colour, that, is it? It's beige. Yeah, so everyone wants to buy the best quality ingredients these days, and to buy better quality ingredients it costs you more. So no, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to make nice gravy. It's interesting flavoured gravy. Interesting flavoured gravy. What have I got? I need a bit of gravy browning. See, I have to put gravy browning in as well. Well, that won't really be a problem when I'm cooking, because I'll have the meat juices, so that'll be create a dark colour. But just a bit of gravy browning. It's remarkable how much more attractive sauces become with a little bit of gravy browning. It's remarkable. Yeah, so first head chef that I worked for, still friends with him. Bit of a character to say the least. He used to, well, two things about my first head chef. He could conjure a soup out of seemingly nothing, and he was also a bit of a baker as well. He had his own bakery for a while. Stopped being a chef, went to become a baker. Worked for himself, didn't quite work out, went to work for a bakery, and then did a bit of part-time work at a hotel, a local hotel, and then they employed him full-time, and then they got a bit busier, and then they needed someone to help him, and that was my first job. I was the first person to come and help him. And so we used to talk about all kinds of things, and he's had a lot of experience, and he'd made wedding cakes as a sideline for the bakery business, and he used to put in gravy browning into the rich fruitcake mixture to darken it up to make it look more luxurious. Hang on, I've got some cake, I'll show you. Right, so it's just a quick fruit cake that I make. It's got loads of fruit in it, so you can see that this cake bit here is not particularly very dark, and there's all that kind of fruit there which makes it look dark. But he would, I presume, put less fruit in, and then put some gravy browning in, and then it would darken up the actual cake mixture up. So it looked a lot more richer and luxurious than it actually was. If you think about the colour of a Christmas pudding, it's really kind of quite dark, and that's what he's kind of aiming for by putting a bit of gravy browning in, so a bit of a cheat. But he came from a time when food had to be cheap. But anyway, so the gravy browning has improved the flavour, improved the colour. But will it trick us? But see, there's no bits in it. One or two smaller bits, but that's gravy. Alright, it's alright. It certainly tastes better than that. But the best gravies come from meat juices that you've cooked. So, let's do a calculation. I'll do a calculation of how much that cost as opposed to how much that cost, and we'll kind of see if it's worth it. Right, so we used about a third of that, didn't we, for that half? Maybe just short of, just maybe slightly under half. So that's about 20p. Well, about 15p then. About 15p's worth of gravy granules, and I kind of decided that we only need to put in one beef stock cube if we're making it from scratch. So that comes out at 12.5p. So slightly cheaper to make a roux and bung in a beef stock cube, and you don't get that. Oh, there's the gravy browning, but that's not really. It's probably about the same. But you can, I don't know if you can kind of see, but you can just. Well, I'm gonna use all this up in something else, so we can pour that in there like that. But you just might be able to see, but you can see the bits on the bottom there. Those are the bits I'm talking about. It just doesn't want to mix in properly. But anyway, so is it worth it to make a roux and add some beef stock cubes? Time-wise, if you're going to make the roux, which is a bit of a faff, rather than just buying gravy granules. So, yeah, not really. Time-wise, I'd say no. But for a better result, better result in a thickening agent, I would say yes. Yes. So, if the price of gravy granules shoots up, then probably better to use a roux in future. How do they taste together? Better altogether. Better altogether. Anyway, so I have learned something. I suppose it's that's half a litre, but if you're making, so you're saving yourself about 3p. So, but if you're making 10 litres, so 10. So it'd actually be that'd be half litre. So you save yourself 3p per half litre. So you need to times that by 20. So no. Times by 20 equals. You're saving yourself 60p if you were to make like 10 litres of gravy, which seems like a lot, but in big functions it is. And 60p kind of counts. You know, like look after the pennies and the pounds take care of themselves type of thing. So, and that's generally, so this is going to turn into me waffling about catering. So with cooking, it's not, the secret of cooking is not one thing that you do to a dish that makes the difference. It's 5 things that you do, or 10 little things. 5 or 10 little things that you do to a dish. So if you were making a cottage pie, you would brown the meat in some fat so beef dripping, you would brown the meat in some beef dripping. There's more flavour in beef dripping than oil, so you get a layer of flavour there. And because you're also browning the meat, you get a layer of flavour through caramelisation of the meat. The vegetables, you cook the vegetables in, once you've drained off the mince from the beef, from the fat, then use that fat to cook the vegetables and caramelise them, so they get that beefy flavour as well. And then you also caramelise the vegetables, where you get a caramelisation of flavour through the vegetables of that, which brings out sweetness. So those little things there have already vastly improved the dish. Then you use a good stock, and there's a layers of flavour in there. You don't have to use, like you can miss out one or two of these layers, little things, but to miss out all of them kind of defeats the kind of object. So you created a really good quality, nice tasting dish through lots of little things that you do. Caramelization, nice flavours, fats, seasoned correctly, that type of thing. And it's the same with costing menus as well. You kind of go, well, it's only 60p. The difference between using gravy granules and a roux and a stock cube. It's only 60p. But how many more times per day are you going to say it's only 60p, it's only £1, that type of thing? And at the end of the day, you can save yourself a lot of money through these 60p here, 40p there, £1 here, £2 there, 5p here, 10p there. It all adds up, and you save yourself a lot of money. And it's when you're cooking on a large scale, that money makes a difference. So and I don't think a lot of people kind of quite understand that. And certainly when you're buying high-end quality ingredients, the difference between them and cheaper ingredients is staggering, and that's why lots of restaurants fail, because they don't rein in the costs. But anyway, that was purely for my purpose of my interest, and is it worth doing something or not? Then you've got to factor in the time scale as well. But if I'm cooking and I'm cooking other things at the same time, keeping an eye on a roux at the back of the stove, it's not going to make much difference time-wise. But anyway, so interesting for me, probably a really boring 17-minute video for everyone else.